I promise you, the coaches will coach better in order because they know they're going to get recognition. You're going to be on national TV. They have all the reason to come in and watch the Cowboys and wax their ass. So I'm telling you right now, you better play like you're playing the Super Bowl and do not give up. And if there's anybody that's ready to play on this team, that's why you went to training camp. You took your ass to training camp to make the football team so you can play. So get your ass out there on the field and play. And stop playing around with, I don't know if he should play. Well, hell, if he on the team, he better get his ass out there and play.
What is up, Asia? I love Eugene, and I don't think anyone said it better than Eugene Lockhart, but hey, good evening for all you guys. Saturday night. I'm usually not doing this on Saturday night, but I called my man Greg up. I said, my wife's out of town. She said her and my daughter went to cheer camp. I've been painting the house all day. I said, watch a little training camp, man. I got to talk some Cowboys. So I give my man Greg a call, and he said, man, I'm down with it. So we are here live. I appreciate anyone who's rolling in because it's short notice, but make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. And we're going to get in a lot of training camp. And if you guys got some questions, you can interact in the chat and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a laid back Saturday night, and maybe I might get a drink or two after all this hard work. But Greg, what's happening, man? How you doing today?
Doing good, man. Just chilling on a Saturday, watching training camp on the NFL Network, man. Saw Jerry's his press conference and Michael Parsons, and then Dak talk. So sounds some interesting stuff went on today.
Well, we're going to get into it. So, Jerry had his press conference, his typical one, the State of the Union address for the Dallas Cowboys, right? So he comes out there saying all this stuff, and we're going to get into some of those questions. Jesus, what's up, man? About Lance, and obviously my man Cuts is in here. And make sure you guys check out my man Cuts. He does awesome stuff. I need to figure out how he can make me a very large. I'm jealous of your stars, so I'm trying to figure out how you can make me something like that so I can be like Greg. But we'll talk about it at another time. But Chuck, die Eagles die. Good. I'm blind sometimes. So I thought it was an Eagle fan. I was getting ready to go off. But
yeah, Bugs, it looked like that. Then I saw the rest of it.
I was like, man, what's going on? But hey, so I want to get your impressions of the Jerry Jones press conference as far as how you feel, because when you listen to it, the one thing I'll always say, and I'm a salesman, anyone who knows me personally knows I grew up in sales, so I'm always a salesman and a hustler. Jerry, I mean, he usually has me all in. People say, man, get hyped up. Well, he usually does. How was this one for you? Because he made some valid points, but then he made some things that just make you scratch your head, and it's like, come on, man, what the hell's going on? So, I mean, what was your thoughts? And maybe in the chat, if you guys have anything on Jerry Jones, but Greg, I'll let you give your impression.
Well, Jerry kind of surprised me today because he was a lot more transparent and looked like not emotionally like he was going to cry, but emotionally in the sense that right now he's bewildered because he doesn't know what we have right now. And based on last season's ending with Green Bay, you can tell he is still ticked about that. So today when he was talking, all he was talking about was ambiguity, meaning he doesn't have a clue what we have, what we look like. And then a little frustration about CeeDee Lamb not coming in. And then he referred to Martin last year doing the same thing and how you can't control that. That's the NFL, so you can't control it. So because they're not coming in, like maybe in the 80s or the 90s, everybody just came in, period. Now they're not coming in. And the fact that he's still lingering on them how we ended last season. And he doesn't know what we have yet. And then Jerry kind of looked a little befuddled when he was sitting there too, man. He couldn't remember a couple of things that the reporters were asking him. He had to go back.
I don't want to. We're not going to get political, but man, look, I hate to say, remind me, it was like a little Biden-esque.
Yeah, he sound like he has some memory issues. But today, I can see the frustration in Jerry. Although he was trying to be respectful about it, I can see the frustration. And then he gave me the impression he has no clue what direction we're going in and how we look right now. And didn't mention Dak. Talking about, well, I don't see Dak leaving. But then again, there's nothing on the table for Dak. So that press conference at first, it started off like, okay, he's being a little more transparent today. But then it got kind of, Jerry, you sound like you're confused. You're pissed off. You're still ticked. You don't know what we got. It's just a toss-up for you.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up.
I will say, in Ultra, I was gonna mention this, and you know, he did say there's a lot of talent on this team.
Yes, a lot.
What I'm trying to tell people is you could talk about how active they were, inactive they were in free agency, and this. They have talent. I mean, this team, that there's a reason why Vegas has them as a favorite for the division. There's a reason why Vegas has them as a third team in the NFC to make it to the Super Bowl. The team is talented, where it gets kind of confusing. And I thought, you know, I thought he made some valid points and concerns with the contracts, because you're talking about, you know, Dak, and we're going to get into some of these contracts, and CeeDee Lamb, and then Parsons wanting to be paid the top non-quarterback, right, contract, which is escalating up over $35 million or higher, right? So they've got a unique situation where they could end up, you know, within a year and a half, whatever it ends up being, whenever they got Parsons done, which I don't think it'd be this year, and I don't think it really needs to. You have the 3 highest paid contracts. You got the highest paid quarterback, and then you got the 2 non-quarterback positions as the highest paid. They're going to have to figure some stuff out. There's going to be some tough decisions. There's going to have to figure out, okay, if we do this, what does this impact? Is Martin probably going to retire maybe next year? Is Tank Lawrence, are they moving on from, you know, who's down the road where their contracts are up that is going to be able to free up that money so they could structure the contracts properly to be able to spread it out? Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm trying to drink the Kool-Aid. I don't know what it is, but it gave me a little bit of kind of, all right, we'll just kind of like, he said it's going to work out. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, thinking that it's going to work out with both of them.
I think he's saying that because he doesn't want to alarm everybody, and he wants to keep everybody on the even keel and thinking, okay, Jerry will find a way to make this work. But look, man, we've got several people coming up on contracts after the 2024 season. Lamb, Dak, Cooks, Ferguson, Martin, and then D. Lawrence. Then 25, you got Micah Parsons, Deron Land, you got Donovan Wilson, Tyler Smith. I bet you right now his head is blowing up because he's trying to think where he's going to get all this money from, and who of those people is he going to be able to just bail off and save enough money to pay the Parsons, to pay the CeeDee Lambs, and the extension on Dak. That's a lot of money, man.
Well, and you can't pay everything.
A lot of money.
I would be shocked. I would be shocked if Bland got a contract unless they got rid of Diggs. Like, I don't think they're going to have 2 cornerbacks making. I mean, you can't pay everybody. There's going to be a fall guy. Like, I think Tank is probably, I think he's in his last year. So I think he's probably near the end of his career anyway, unless he took a, pay cut or something changed. Martin is kind of hinted at retirement so many different times. I know he's got some young kids. I don't know if he just had a baby or not. I can't remember through social media, but those guys sometimes get to a point where it's like, you know what, I'm kind of, I'm set financially. Let me walk out while the getting's good, kind of thing. So, it's going to be tough, but I see it for them. I'm not justifying it. Believe me, I think there's areas that this team could have improved and maybe could have been strategic in how they signed a couple guys, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because when you draft well, this is the price you pay for drafting well, where you get teams like the Rams that won. I think it was the Rams, right, that famously said F the draft picks. They were just gonna buy guys. And there's 2 philosophies, right? You go out and buy your guys, or you build it through the draft. The Cowboys have been very, consistent with building through the draft. The results aren't there, though. I mean, so keep doing the same thing and not getting the same results. That's, isn't that the definition of insanity?
Yeah, it is. Same results. If you keep doing the same thing and it's not working, why are you still doing it? See, we've been successful in the draft as far as picking good players. We've always been able to manage to keep a great team around some of the players that we got that didn't work out. So we've always been able to stay in the winning categories. However, time is starting to run out on those draft picks seasons 3 and 4 to where now it's time to rewrite a contract for him, and we haven't gotten to the Super Bowl. And Diggs, I hate to say it, I thought Diggs was back, and they were talking about a month ago saying Diggs is back. Diggs not back.
No, they started at the pup, but I think he's going to be ready to go when the season starts.
But think about this: if you're ready for the season, of course, it's going to take a couple of games for him to get his confidence level back, worrying about whether his leg is going to go out. But then he comes up for a contract, depending on how he can play this year with his level of confidence. Jerry may be looking at, well, there's one right now, right there. I know I can let go. But then how much is he worth if he's still playing without the confidence or he's slightly injured? Nobody else is going to pick him up, so you're not saving a lot of money. I can see Deron Land going somewhere else for the big bucks.
Oh, yeah.
I can see Diggs trying his damnness to stay the Diggs that he was before his injury so that Jerry doesn't sacrifice Diggs and then give Deron Land the contract.
Yeah.
With the other cornerbacks we got coming in, so far they're looking good in training camp. So they may make up the difference. But right now, Jerry, I got a good feel today, finally, how Jerry feel. It's like being so frustrated saying, we did all this good drafting. We got all these good players, and we got them early enough to where they shine, and we haven't gotten a Super Bowl. And then the year before this last season, we made it at least to the second round. This year, not only did we not get past the first round at home, we got beat down. Oh,
embarrassed.
What do we have on top of what just happened? And then I still got to pay these guys. And I'm worried about if CeeDee is going to take this contract I just offered him. Then next is Dak. And Dak's already talking, you know what? I've had a baby. I feel good. I'm comfortable. I'm relaxed in life. I've seen other quarterbacks play with other teams.
Yeah.
He's just throwing it out. And he didn't say it like a threat. He didn't say it like he was nervous. He said it just so nonchalant. So he's looking at, if I don't get an extension, okay, I'm gone. We can't afford to lose Dak. Everybody hates on Dak. We can't afford to lose him.
The reality of it is, I mean, we look at Tua and Love, and Love should be sending a fruit basket or maybe a car or something to Quinn after that contract, because he has the Cowboys defense to thank for that. These guys, they signed. I mean, you're talking highest paid guys now, right? They're all in that 55+ million range, and they showed a stat in the top 10 quarterbacks, playoff records losing. No Super Bowls, if my memory's right. Hopefully, if I'm wrong, I know someone will correct me. But I know the playoff record was losing playoff record.
Right.
So you're paying the quarterbacks, and here's the thing: don't be pissed off at the players. Like, don't hate the player, hate the game. The owners are the ones that are paying these guys. The owners can say, "Hey, dude, Tua, Love, hey man, you know, what do you have a game? Would you play a good game, and now all of a sudden you're going to get this monster deal?" No, we're not doing that. Or Tua, same thing. You know, and Dak, you could argue the same thing with him. All right, Dak, you've been second in MVP. Your stats are phenomenal in the regular season, but in the playoffs, I mean, we're about winning championships here. I mean, you know, so you gotta kind of like put up or shut up there. So maybe you don't deserve 60 million. You don't deserve to be the highest paid guy, but the owners can't control themselves. I mean, if you look at it, a quarterback salary just 2 years ago, like the highest paid quarterback, I think it was like in the 40 million, and it's already escalating over 55. So it's getting higher and higher and higher, and it's not the quarterback's fault; it's the owners, because the owners.
It's the owners. And Jordan Love's contract that set the tone, and then all of a sudden Tua, and it's like, here we go. Now, when Jerry saw that, I know Jerry started to panic because he know you got to pay Dak. But look at Jordan Love, look at Tua, look at Dak. Those are three quarterbacks that if you don't pay them and you get rid of them, who do you have to start over? They're close. They're close.
Ultra, wait a minute. Ultra, throw one more in there. I believe Jim Plunkett won. Didn't he start with the Patriots and then he went with the
with the Raiders. But that was a whole different era.
There's a few of them that do it, but it's not very often guy leaves.
No.
But I'm just saying. So it's going to be interesting because that is the great dilemma. It's do you let Dak play the year out and roll the dice and just say, you know what, if you get a Super Bowl out of it, you can make him the highest guy, or he can give you that, that sign and say, you know what, I'm out of here. I'm gonna, because it's like, Adam Schefter said, there's gonna be a line of teams that are gonna make him the highest paid.
That's right.
I mean, is it and Dallas just has to make the decision. It's like what Jerry said in there. It's getting, they've been 12-5. I mean, you're getting, you're around the rim, as he liked to say, right? You're hanging around the rim. Like Parcells always used to say, it's like you just got to get in the tournament.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a 1 seed, doesn't matter if you're the last seed, you get in the tournament. That's the goal. I mean, that's your first goal ultimately, is you got to get in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
In the playoffs, anything can kind of, happen. For the Cowboys, it just ain't happening. So at some point, it's the same thing. Is if you're getting the same results, do you got to shake things up totally? I guess it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm pretty confident CeeDee's contract is going to get done, but I'll be honest, man. As the days go by, I'm not as confident in Dak's contract getting done. I think they're gonna ride it out, and Dak's not holding out, so he's fine with it. They're fine with it. So go play.
I hate to say it, but I'm starting to feel some cracks in that armor about Dak too, because the way Jerry spoke today and how relaxed Dak was about it. Dak's going to play this season and try to win the Super Bowl, but Dak's playing now like he has no pressure, because if it either gets done or he goes somewhere else, and if he goes somewhere else, he's not going to have the pressure on him of being under the star like he would with somebody else. And then, it's a shame because Jordan Love did not have a good practice on day 2 at all. He was throwing picks.
You talking about Trey Lance?
Trey Lance. Trey Lance didn't have he didn't have a good practice. And then preseason is going to tell us something about him. And I bet you in the back of Jerry's head, he's hoping that Trey Lance comes out smoking. But you still won't know until you get in the middle of the season if you did go with Trey Lance, and then you try to pull another Dak Romo situation, and then Trey Lance doesn't pan out, and then everybody else leaves, because we are on the precipice right now. This season, 2024, we don't go deep into the playoffs. I'm telling you, I feel it. It's going to be a total rebuild. They're going to be leaving the farm, and then it's just going to get ugly.
And I see that, and I'm one of these, and you guys let me know if I'm the only one, but like, I like McCarthy. Like, I'm listening to him in the press conference. I wish he would talk more than Jerry, but I mean, that's Jerry's deal. He's going to do that, and that's fine. McCarthy, to me, what he's done with the team, and again, he's not building the roster, so I'm not going to throw the roster on him, whether it be good or bad or flaws or whatever it is. But what he's done with the team, he's been able to win through adversity. When Tyron was out, they were able to survive and win games, right? When Dak was hurt, Cooper Rush went in there. They won some games. They won it ugly, won it by defense, whatever the case may be. They ended up winning. And at the end of the day, that's all you really care about, is winning the game.
Right.
And so he's been very good. He doesn't, the ego of Jerry, it seems like it doesn't bother him. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know if that's true or not, but he just seems like he just don't give a shit. So maybe that's it. I like him. I think careful what you wish for. Careful what you wish for, because it's, I don't know what you're going to get after that, unless they get desperate and you go get Bill Belichick. I mean, I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's the answer, and if that's a marriage that, that'll work. And I know McCarthy has his press conference. I know he talks and all that, but at that press conference where you're getting the season started and it's kind of like the state of the Cowboys, I'm more digging the coach. I want to hear what the coach has to say more than the owner. I don't really give a shit what the owner has to say, but he likes to talk, so let him talk. But go ahead.
No, Jerry kind of alluded to the fact that his decisions, and when it comes to drafting people, getting players, he kind of alluded to the fact that he weighs heavily on what Mike tells him and what Steven tells him. And I'm not quite buying that his decisions are made from what Mike tells him a lot. I'm not buying that. I think he said that, to be cordial. But Mike, I'm telling you, call me brain dead. I don't want Mike to leave right now. I definitely don't want Dak to leave right now. I don't. We have continuity with Dak, and with the quarterback shortage out there, I don't care if they're coming out of college. There is nobody out there with the continuity we have, with the winning season we have, to at least keep us in the door. Whether we get in the door and get kicked out, at least we're getting in the door. And I always, when I look at us, I go back to 2 seasons when we played the Buccaneers and we beat them and we went to the next round. The next round, we went to the 49ers. We didn't get blown out by the 49ers. At the end of the game, it was a touchdown from winning.
They were the better team. They were the better.
But both defenses played their ass off in that game. And we were there and played our ass off. And 1 touchdown wins the game. Then the next season, we get in the playoffs and the defense is nowhere to be found. So I think Dak, and I look at the points. I keep harping on this all the time. I look at the points we put up in the Green Bay game. The points we put up in the Green Bay game are enough to go all the way through that playoff. Don't get rid of Dak. Pay Dak. Jerry, if you don't pay anybody, pay Dak, keep Mike, and then figure out the rest. You're going to get CeeDee Lamb. Pay Dak and figure out the rest, because Jordan Love is a rising star. We don't know what he's going to do this season. They paid him a lot of money. We don't know what he's going to do this season. Tua, everybody knows who Tua is. Tua's going to keep him in the game. He's going to get him in the playoffs just like Dak. But they know we're not going to get rid of Tua right now, because if we get rid of Tua, we're starting over. At least we know Tua will get us there. And all it's going to take is these other teams who keep changing quarterbacks, changing lineups. But we're still have that continuity with this quarterback. And this season may be the season that this experienced quarterback gets us past that next round. And that's why I say pay Dak. Don't let Dak get out the door, because I'm gonna be sick if Dak's gone. I'm gonna be sick.
Well, Kelly and I talked about this. I'll always play devil's advocate because you're obviously very pro Dak, and I love Dak. I got my Dak shirt. I got Dak in the corner of my screen, so I love Dak. But they're gonna play Trey Lance preseason.
Yes.
Trey Lance dominates. And he should. I'm talking dominates preseason. Looks good, which he should. You're playing backups for the most part. I think they're going to play him a lot, maybe most games.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's looking good, I mean, everyone loves the backup, right? The favorite player on the team is the backup quarterback. I mean, could you see the Cowboys with a short leash? Like if Dak, let's say they're at the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
The Saints. I mean, they should beat the Saints, but the Saints defense is something. The Ravens are going to be, we're going to have their hands full. Now, thankfully, all of us are going to be there. They don't dare disappoint us when we're all there, especially
they better not.
This cave tailgate party.
They haven't lost since I've been there.
but could you see a situation where they, a little changing of the guard? Think back, I think back when McCarthy and Brett Favre, and it was a little different, right? Because Brett said he was going to retire. But McCarthy gets, he makes the move to he's not afraid to make tough decisions.
He's not.
That was a very unpopular decision in Green Bay. So at the time,
right?
But so I'm just. What would your thoughts be if you see Trey Lance? Are you a little bit more okay, or are you still going to be all pissed off?
No, I expect Trey Lance to do good in preseason, because it's preseason. There's no pressure on him. He may feel a little bit pressure because he wants to stay in Dallas as the number 2 backup. But if he plays awful, he's still going to be the number 3. But I see Jerry waiting until the 3rd game of preseason before he makes that contract for Dak, because knowing Jerry's one of those gamblers. Jerry's like, well, let me see what Trey does in these 3 preseason games, because they're going to go heavy. They're going to go heavy on Trey.
Wait a minute, Greg. I hate what no, he wasn't, because I've got a million friends who are Packer fans. They were fucking livid
Oh yeah, he didn't wear out his favorite. No.
I know he waffled, but that dude could walk on water in Green Bay. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I can see Jerry waiting until the third game of preseason to see how Trey Lance is doing, because a word is Trey Lance is going to be dominant. He's going to be the quarterback for preseason, period. And if Trey Lance is doing well in preseason, I can see Jerry sitting back there doing this. Should I pull a Romo Dak? Should I pull a Romo Dak? Or should I what? But he's going to, guarantee you, a deal with Dak does not get done before the third game of preseason, because Jerry is looking at Trey Lance. If Trey Lance shines like the Romo Dak situation, Jerry knows he can save a bucket full of money. And he might just go all in on Trey Lance and let Dak play this season out and his contract is up and then move on. But that's yet to be seen, because obviously he's not going to start Trey Lance during the season. So you won't get a chance to see what he can do during the season. So I know he's looking in the back of his mind, if Trey Lance plays good in the preseason, then even if Dak starts the regular season, then maybe I can get Trey Lance to be our starter. And it's almost like we're starting over in a sense, but not quite. And then Dak can go free me up some money to pay Micah and a few other players. But I'm not willing to take that bet. I like Trey Lance as a pickup because it shocked me when he picked him up. I'm happy. But I want to see what Trey Lance has learned from San Francisco. I want to see what he can do. And I want to see what kind of command of the offense he has when he's out there. Because if he is the man that he's supposed to be, and he takes Cooper Rush's backup quarterback position, Jerry's already thinking about replacing Dak.
Yeah. And Falk, he was 2 teams removed. Jets, they didn't care. I mean, it was
that didn't make any.
He's washed up by then. But when he went to Minnesota, I got a million Green Bay fans livid, and go watch the game when he went back to Green Bay and see who the fans were cheering for and see who they were booing. But anyway, I digress. Let's move forward, right? Let's talk, you worry about who's there. And we're talking Cowboys here. So let's talk Cowboys training camp. Defense has looked good. I think Chris had that.
Chris Gomes said that. Yeah.
Got some, Deron Bland got a pick, and then they got a couple other turnovers, which we're talking about this Zimmer defense. I'm trying to work on something that I think will be special. Have a special guest maybe coming in, hopefully, to really talk about the Zimmer defense and really talk about, Zimmer and what we can expect with his defense and this and that. So hopefully I have but the defense typically starts out faster than the offense for the most part, even though the Cowboys are kind of reinstalling pretty much their same thing. But I saw something on DallasCowboy.com, and I wanted to get your thoughts in the chat. It said the 5 non-starters that are crucial to the team's success. And you had number 5 was Wanye Thomas. Number 4 was Rico. Number 3 was our rookie cornerback, Kalen Carson.
Yes.
Number 2, TJ Bass. And number 1 was Ultra's favorite receiver, Jalen Tolbert.
Yes.
So when we look at that and you think about, because, it's like Aikman talked about in those 90s teams, you had obviously the triplets. But really, what that team was built on was the Tony Tolberts, right? The Russell Marylands, the Kevin Gogans, the Tuanes, the Eric Williams, guys that may not be in the Hall of Fame,
right?
Pretty damn good players, and they're very important in the locker room and also on the field. Kevin Smith would be even another one. Darren Woodson,
even Harper.
Those kind of guys. So when you're looking at this, and I mean, who stands out of that 5 that you're saying, no doubt, this dude has better have a positive impact, otherwise we're going to be in trouble?
Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert is shining in training camp. Now, this is only the 3rd training camp. Jalen Tolbert is shining. Tolbert, he knows that CeeDee is out there for contract negotiations or whatever. And Jalen is doing what he does. Dak even spoke about him today. Dak even spoke about Jalen, talking about how Jalen, when he, and I didn't know this, Dak had some pull on getting Jalen when he was talking to Mike. And Jalen was calling out the plays, talking, oh, yeah, I'm familiar with it. When they were talking on the phone before Jalen came to the team. Oh, yeah, I know about the Miami play. I know about this. I know about it. He said when he got into training camp, last year. When he was with him when he started, Jalen Tolbert knew everything, and his mind is right. He's got the wisdom, and he's ready to play. He's lighting it up in training camp right now.
Yeah.
Bass comes to mind because Bass has got to definitely be a leader on the field this year. No doubt about it. Bass has got to be a leader on the field. I would say number 2. Dowdle, I'm kind of surprised to hear Dowdle is being one of those critical pieces, because to me, Dowdle always reminds me of a north-south runner. I know he can pound, but unless he's going to go out there and pound the hell out some defense to open up something for Zeke to come in and run over these guys after they're soft, okay, then yeah. But a guy that I'm hearing about in training camp who's an undrafted free agent is Jason Johnson, linebacker. He's small for his size, but they say that dude is out there killing it. And he may find a spot on the team. So keep that name on in your head, Jason Johnson. I hear he's lighting it up.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we always get those guys, and you know that we're always going to find. The Cowboys, they've done it. They've been able to find some of these diamonds in the rough. I'll say Tolbert. I'm a Tolbert fan only in the regards of a friend of mine's son played at South Alabama with Tolbert. He was a quarterback there, and I mean, he talked very highly of him. He actually, even told me, when before the draft, he goes, man, I think the Cowboys are going to take Tolbert. That's just what he was hearing, from him. So it kind of validates what you were kind of saying. He could, in college, he could high point the ball. I mean, he was that 50-50 guy. He was getting it all day long. He had a chance to go to Alabama. He could have done the transfer portal, but he didn't want to because he committed to South Alabama and he wanted to finish his college career there. So, I mean, he seems like a great kid. He works hard, but, it's getting to be, we're in year 3, right? So it's like if he doesn't, then they got to really, I don't want to say a bubble guy to cut, but I'm just saying, like, if we're not seeing that leap now, I mean, it could be trouble, because I look at our receivers, and obviously CeeDee's not there, but he'll be there. CeeDee and Brooks, or Cooks, excuse me, I feel good about. A lot of uncertainty after that. And I saw, one of our favorites, Ryan Flournoy, is injured. Now, hopefully they doesn't seem like it's serious, but the wild card or the ace in the hole is Ferguson, because I think he's going to blow up. So I think he's kind of, could elevate if those guys aren't. But I'd agree. I think that I won't just say Tolbert, but that wide receiver 3 position, someone has got to take it. Someone's got to take it, and they got to own it. Whoever the hell it's going to be, Brooks, his name's out there. Flournoy, Turpin, I think is a gadget. I don't really see him as going to be the 3, but I think he's going to get some touches out there. So I think, out of that list, I agree, Tolbert. I think, there was question on the offensive line. I was one of those guys that I wasn't as concerned with the offensive line going in the draft as others. Now they drafted 2 guys that I think will be impact guys for them. They're going to need them to be.
Yes, indeed.
One of them, at least Guyton. Yeah, I think Hoffman is going to have something to say about just, I liked him. I liked him in the games that the limited action he played. Bass, I liked him in the limited action he played. So I was pretty good with our offensive line, getting some youth in there. Now we added more. I mean, how are you feeling about this offensive line? Is it something where you may not see the results in the first week, but the fruits of the labor is going to pay off when you need it most, and that's going to be down the stretch into the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm glad that we got the offensive line pickups that we did, and I think that's going to tighten up those gaps. And losing Smith to the Jets, man, that's going to help a lot by getting those guys in there.
Yeah.
Regress for just a second. Tolbert reminds me of Terrence Williams. That's why I say, and Cedric Wilson too. Why I can put those 3 in the same category. Those 3 are very valuable. They've always been extremely valuable with the Cowboys is wide receivers, because when everybody was honing in on our number 1 and number 2, those guys always made plays, big plays. So I think Tolbert's going to be the number 3 receiver, period. Everybody else is going to be vying to rotate with him. But getting back to the offensive line, Guyton, I saw Guyton today when they were showing training camp, and Guyton was getting in there. You could tell he was really committed. He wants to be in it. Guyton's a big boy. Guyton needs to plug that hole up like a plumber. And I think Guyton's going to be a serious asset. Now, that's going to make the rest of them play their best game because they saw we had to plug in some offensive linemen through the draft to help us out. That means you guys that are here, you're doing a good job, but you're not doing the job we need you to do. So now that's going to make these guys come together because they want to keep their positions. So yeah. I can see the offensive line getting much, much better. I hope and pray during the preseason we don't have any injuries on the offensive line because that's what I'm concerned about with Guyton and these other players. But defense, you look at that roster. We got so many linebackers in camp right now. There's no way that we don't pull one of those linebackers, undrafted free agents or otherwise, out of there and they make the team. That's a lot of linebackers on this camp roster right now. I feel one of them is going to definitely make the team. And I am not hating on as many linebackers as you can get because we know where our linebacker core was last year. Somebody else had to come in. So, yeah. And Kalen is playing good in the preseason right now. Diggs isn't there. Kalen, he'll be able to step in. I mean, Jerry said it. We have an outstanding team. He's just scratching his head as to what is this and what is it in this suit that's just not working. These other teams have outstanding teams, but there's an ingredient they're putting in their soup and it's working. Well, one thing, Jerry, free agency, get somebody. Off season, get somebody. Experience. And then maybe that might be that ingredient that we've been missing on top of these draft players and the ones in camp that's going to take us there. But you didn't get anybody, Jerry. You did no activity at all. So stop and think about how that may have damaged us and hurt us and see how you can do something about it this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But, I mean, a couple names that you think about, and he's been, he got hurt last year, but John Stevens, right, the other tight end, he looked good in camp last year. He got injured, and you're hearing great things again from him. I mean, so you may get some of these guys that they've got. Mozzie Smith. I mean, I haven't really heard much about him of how he's looking or anything like that. We need some people with boots on the ground. Yeah. Hopefully, one of my guys in the cave won that VIP training camp giveaway that we were doing with the Dallas Cowboys and jackpot.com. So you guys can let us know what the hell's going on. But I haven't really heard much about Mozzie Smith as far as any impact or better in his defense and a lot of this stuff, man. They're not in pads. They're not like Chauncey Golston. I saw a question on that. I mean, he's going to be another guy that he's going to be in the rotation. The defensive line is what'll keep me up at night if I'm a fan. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they've got to they got to find their guys. And to me. And maybe, again, I'm just a fan, so I could be dead wrong on it. But I think if you can get Sam Williams or you can get Nealon, you get guys that can step up and be effective in the pass rush, I think it'll allow you to kind of move Tank on certain plays as a D tackle and be able to give you some versatility. He did it some last year, and he's great against the run. You've got the linebackers now that they're going to be attacking. So I think we can definitely stop the run, but the key is who's going to step up. I mean, we're going to need guys to elevate their game. Mozzie Smith's one of the, we need guys that are going to take that next step. And it's a lot of ifs and buts. And what did Sap always if and buts or candy nuts to be Christmas or something like that.
Hey, Steven, look back. Yeah.
With the Cowboys is, right? I mean, we're always with if. Yeah. I think I've been saying it for 30 years. If Romo stays healthy, if Dak, plays, the way he does in the regular season in the playoffs and doesn't have those slow starts. It's not that he plays bad, it's the slow starts in the playoffs, and it was and then I think it's contagious. It's contagious with the team. And then it's like I said, they rely so much on him that if he's not on, then everyone gets kind of steamrolled. So it's always, there's so many ifs that's going on. And we just, we got to get past all of that.
But injuries didn't hurt us last year as far as winning. And that's the good thing. You look back and you think about it, it's like, oh, that's right. Injuries didn't hurt us last year. And some of the people that were injured still played, but the injuries didn't hurt us to the point to where, oh, we lost that game because he was out. No, we still managed to win the division. We still managed to make it to the playoffs and get that first game. So the injuries didn't hurt us. Now, this year, if we get some major injuries, that might be different because we got a lot of new players out there and people trying to fill spots. But one person that they're high up on, man, and they think that's going to show some versatility this year is Chuba. They think Udoka's going to be one hell of a guard this year. So if he is
left tackle right now, they got him starting left tackle.
Well, they're high on him. They're already mentioning his name, man, saying that maybe he's gotten that experience. He's matured some in there. Maybe he's starting to feel that pressure because he see how many people are coming in camp. But if he steps up, that's going to be perfect. But that defense right now is still questionable because they played good in preseason yesterday. And like I said, they lit Trey Lance up. They lit Trey Lance up. And maybe, he's just trying to get his feet wet because he's just not getting a chance to get the ball around. And then that new guy, Jason Johnson, he intercepted a ball out there. And the linebacker core is going to be very interesting to see who they're going to pick up from training camp, who's hungry and is trying to get a job, which is going to help us tremendously. I have a big question mark about Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon, even if he comes up for the first game of the season, right now, he's still trying to nurse that leg. He's got to get that confidence back in his head that I'm the dog and not worry about a hard cut and this and that to try to chase somebody and then hurting himself again. It's going to be very interesting to see how Trayvon is able to hold
I think
his point.
Those injuries are it's all going to be psychological. I think nowadays with surgeries and stuff like that, it's the advancement of the training and stuff. I think he seems like he's a pretty mentally tough guy. So I think.
What do you think? What do you think about going back to get Stephon Gilmore?
I wouldn't be against it. I don't, if Carson, if he's playing, if they got a lot of faith in him, I say you roll, because the problem that you're going to have is if you've got Bland and you've got Diggs, and if Gilmore is kind of like your third or fourth cornerback, they got to play special teams usually.
Right.
He wants to play special teams.
No, I don't think no.
He don't want to. So I mean, that's where I just don't know how. Because some of those guys are needed for I don't know how it works, but I think, I wouldn't be against it. What I'm against is Falk. He's always going to defend his Michigan guys. He's a Michigan guy, and he's always going to defend his Michigan guys. I get all that, and whatever. So we're going to see Miami Hurricanes. Well, all I know is my Miami Hurricanes. I'm feeling great about you. Feeling great about the U. We're going to get things done. I cannot wait. I can't wait for football. I mean, training is here. College football is going to be kicking off before you know it. I got my college football, game, and I'm waiting on the season. Falk, I'm waiting on the season to start. What the hell's everybody doing? Let's get these games rolling because I'm ready to beat somebody's ass and get this thing going. So,
one of my friends, we were with them the other night. One of my friends, he's a Hurricanes fan here. Because last year was me throwing it. This year he's throwing the opening season game at his house. Now look, his family, he's got a lot of Florida Gators.
Oh.
So, but there's about 6 of us, Canes and him, are going to be there. So it's going to be real interesting, man. I'm going to try to do a video from there too. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, no, definitely do. Because we're having a party here at my house, and it's going to be all Canes and one Gator, I think. Maybe one.
Yeah.
And last time we had a party here, we lost to Florida, and it ended up being we ended up throwing because the Canes outnumbered the Gators, and everyone was a little inebriated. So then we started throwing the Gators in the pool. We started throwing the Florida Gators in the pool because they were running their mouths after beating us. It was kind of a bullshit game if my memory's right. But I think it's great. I love college football, the rivalries.
I do too.
And it's the same thing in the NFL. You love when the Cowboys in Washington, Cowboys Philly. I mean, now we're playing the Steelers this year, which is. I was talking to a guy at the airport. He was. I was wearing my Cowboy stuff, and he's like, "Hey, man," he goes, "How do you guys think you're going to do this year?" And we just started talking, and he goes, yeah. I said, well, who are you a fan of? And he goes, yeah, you don't want to know. I said, was it Philly? And he said, no, San Francisco. So I was like, I said, the thing I'd say about San Francisco, I don't know if you feel this way, but like everyone always, I want San Francisco. I want them more. And I just get this flashback to the Cowboys Packers in the 90s where the Packers just could not beat us.
Yeah.
And it was always in Dallas. Every game was in Dallas. Just schedule worked out. And it just reminds me of that. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to play San Francisco. I don't want to see them in the playoffs. I hope they get beat. I want nothing to do with it.
At this point, I do too.
I've seen enough. I don't want it.
At this point, I do too. They're starting to have a few cracks in the armor because Brandon Ayuk wants to leave. What's the other guy that's looking for a contract right now? He's holding out. There's two of them. I think they're gonna pay him, but they're holding out. But speaking of us,
they can't be able to pay all the that's the thing. It's like did you watch the Hard Knocks with the Giants?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was one of the best Hard Knocks. I thought that was better than the training camps are, like today.
Yeah.
When they show it, because the early ones were good because they showed a lot of the guys getting cut, and they went through the whole process in the offseason. And the Giants GM, I mean, like it or not, I mean, he said, we can't pay our quarterback $40 million and hand it off to a $15 million or whatever $1 million running back.
Right.
It's the nature of the salary cap. And I saw in an earlier chat said no cap. I'm for no cap. I'm one of those.
Me too.
You should pay what you get, whatever you can deserve. I mean, you and I, we work, and if someone wants to offer me, a whole bunch more money than I'm making now, I'm going to think about it, right? It's that way. But I get the competitive balance because, I talked about it on Thursday. And one of the cool things I think about football more than any other sport is, every team has a glimmer of hope that maybe this is, maybe for some, it just maybe, I think we can get in the playoffs. And that's a big, like the Bears fan, I think that's a big accomplishment, like for the Bears fans. They're like, man, if we, a lot of them say, hey man, I just want to get in the playoffs, or some is, and then anything can happen. And then some of these teams see the Green Bays, they see the Detroit Lions, they see some of these teams that, they weren't that good the year before, and then all of a sudden, man, they just make this leap, and it happens every year. The
year somebody does it.
1 year, it just happens. So that's what I love about the NFL is the cap kind of does balance it out. I don't like it because you got a rotating door of people, so it's hard. So you and I talked before the show, or no, it wasn't you and I, it was Cuts and I were talking before the show, and it's like, we had a show on Thursdays. What jerseys do you get? So it's like, I went out and I'm like, I'm going old school. I'm gonna
you're always safe going old school.
Yeah, it's like I'm safe that more than, because these guys may not want to get a couple years out of it. Then what do you
it started. Speaking of the jerseys, with me, it started when we let Amari Cooper go, and I said, I'm not going out here buying all these team jerseys anymore, because these guys are turning around in a revolving door. So I said, nope. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wait to get the players I know that are safe, that are gonna be there. I'll get their jerseys. But the other ones that I like and I want to wear the jersey, it might not be there next season or the season after that. And and I'm like, no, I ain't taking a chance. But somebody in training camp that I'm surprised. So it's only the third day. I haven't heard his name at all. Haven't seen him. I haven't seen NFL Network interview him. Haven't seen anything in the Dallas Cowboy training camp on DallasCowboy.com. Hey, Kurt, how you doing? I haven't seen anything about Zeke. Haven't heard anything about Zeke. And I was expecting to hear something about Zeke, or somebody interview on Zeke. How do you feel about coming back to Dallas? I hear that you worked out over the years.
He had a long interview. It wasn't like
when was it?
It's on DallasCowboy.com. They did an article on it. And there was a little video on it, but they did a conversation with him coming back. It wasn't on. I don't think
was it during training camp.
Yeah, ESPN or none of them give a shit about it.
Okay, I got to see that, because I haven't heard anything about Zeke. Yeah. And I haven't even seen him in training camp either, man. But
I saw him. He looks like Zeke. He's and the thing. I think he's going to be all right. I think he's going to be fine for what we need. I wish we would have got a younger running back to compensate. But what do you think about this? So my son, he's like the only Marlins fan I know. So I don't know if you know any, but he's one.
None.
So, all right, he's the one Marlins fan. He loves his Marlins, and they just traded his favorite player to the Yankees.
Who? Not Stanton. No, Stanton's already gone. Stanton's already
gone. It's Mike. Tell me the player's name because I forgot. Jazz? Is it Chisholm? I forgot.
I don't know. I don't know anything about the Marlins.
So now he's leaving the Marlins. He said he's going to the Yankees because that's where his guy's going. So he said, you know what? I'm done with the Marlins, and I'm gonna
do that.
Can he do that?
You got to stick with the team.
Jazz. That's yeah. And so it's like, but baseball's hard, man. Like, baseball's a different. Like, I grew up a Mets fan, and
I'm a Reds fan.
I love the Mets when growing up, but I don't really follow them that much anymore because it's just such a changeover of roster, and then it's like baseball. We don't have a shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's like you're not everywhere.
You had 162 games, but you still know we ain't got a shot this year.
Yeah, so like a Marlins fan, unless they do what they did the 2 World Series, where they bought and hey man, they spent the money and it paid off. And it's the same thing I would say with the Cowboys. If the Cowboys truly went all in and you knew that you could win a Super Bowl this year and they spent all their money, but you're screwed for 5 years because you're being capped on that. I would take it.
I would take it. Jerry even said something similar to that today. Jerry said, if I could pay for a Super Bowl, he said, I would all in on it. He said, but obviously you can't, but I would pay for a Super Bowl if I could pay for it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I would do it. So running back situation, we talked a little bit on it. So, I mean, where are you with the running back situation? Are you worried about it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. I'm deeply, deeply, deeply worried about running back because we didn't pick up anybody in the draft. And I know I felt good about our draft. We picked up people where we need them, but we got to go out there and get us a running back. And I really wish, and I keep harping on, it's like beating a dead horse and kicking him over when he didn't turn the bones. That Derrick Henry thing, we let it get through our fingers. We could have had it, and that would have been it. But bringing Zeke back is good. And I'm glad we got Zeke back. But we need a running back. We need a real beast of a running back bad because we can't be one-dimensional on offense. If we're one-dimensional on offense, it's going to hurt us during the season. We can have everything else that we need on offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, even picked up some corners. Okay, running back. We need to make points. We need to score points, and we need to keep people off balance when I running back. And they're playing us like, damn, their running back is killing us, man. And then all of a sudden, then boom, Dak can throw it down the field and hit somebody. Schoonmaker, Ferguson, Cooks, all these guys. I really hope somebody in the waiver line, because that's the last hope.
There's going to be some teams that are heavy.
Somebody in the waiver line. I'm hoping we can
pick up a running back from there. And, I mean, at this point, you're gonna get somebody, but it's not like you're gonna get a rock star. The thing they have to bank on, and you've seen it happen. They didn't draft one, so it's hard to see it happen unless it's an undrafted or one of their guys on their roster. But there's usually these running backs that you never heard of that just all of a sudden just blow up. I mean, you think about like who thought Pacheco a couple years ago was going to be, 7th round. Right. And I think if the offensive line is going to be better, if it is, and I think that's going to be a process, right? Then maybe they can, really get the running game. It's when you're up. That's when you're up and all you got to do is run the clock out. You're running the ball. They know you're running the ball. Try and stop it. That's what I want to see. And we didn't have it last year. I don't know if we have it this year. So that's where the question mark is. And if you can't do that, then you're just going to put your defense in a vulnerable position because then they're going to put the ball and then and then they're going, they're in that fast pace, hurry up offense to try and get things going. and the defense is playing on their heels. So a running game is so critical, and it doesn't have. If they want to do it by committee, fine, but they better be able to run the ball consistently for positive yards and run it when they have to, and the defense knows they're running it and still be able to get positive yards at it. It's going to be interesting to see. But that both sides of the ball, right? Running and stop the run. That's where it's at. I mean, that's where it's at with the Cowboys, man.
And Mike McCarthy loves the running game. That's a huge part of his offensive game plan, is having somebody back there that can run the clock out, get those yards we need, keep us on the end of winning and letting that clock run out. Mike McCarthy loves a running back. So that's why when Jerry said today about how he relies on Mike McCarthy to make decisions for him as far as players and this and that, I'm thinking, I know Mike McCarthy had to hit you up for a running back. So Mike McCarthy ain't gonna sit back in the free agency and in off season and don't talk about getting a running back. I'm sure he had to bring up something. So Jerry, you're not really relying on Mike McCarthy as much as you were leading us to believe you are. And Steven, I'm sure, is probably saying the same thing about running back. So, something's wrong there. But the more and more I hear Jerry talk and I see Jerry's non-actions, I get the impression that, just like we were saying earlier, Jerry emptied the bank to get us where we were last year with players and this and that. And now he's going back to the vault and there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And now he's thinking, man, I'm going to really, really pay out the ass if I pay CeeDee, Dak, Micah, and these other guys are coming up in 2024. And if we don't win the Super Bowl in 24 or 25, 26, it's going to be a desert.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be done, because Super Bowl and within these next 2 years, if he pays everybody, but then the bad part about that is, he's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. If he doesn't pay him, there is no chance for a Super Bowl in these next 2 years. So somebody's got to come out and show themselves during camp.
Unless, we have to know. Trey Lance was a 3rd overall pick. But in San Francisco, the guru head coach traded up King's ransom to move up to get him.
Sure
they had to see something in him. They had to see something. I'm not saying he's the answer, but I'm just saying is they you never know. I don't want to say they'll never win if they don't have Dak, because I think you could free up money and I'm telling you, I'm wondering if the NFL is going to get to a point where it's going to be a just straight system and they're going to shuffle these quarterbacks out like they do running backs. Because how can you continue to pay quarterbacks at the level that they're getting paid, and it keeps going up and up at the rate it is? The bubble's going to have to burst somewhere, right?
It will. It'll bust like the housing market. It'll definitely bust, because, and then the next thing, it'll probably be a defensive guy that gets the big money, and then there's the new president. And then after about 3 years, it'll be another position, and there's the president. You're 32 teams. Somebody's going to pay out the ass for somebody in any one of these positions that they know that's so critical to their team, because they may have everything else they need, but they're going to see somebody like, oh, we get that player right there. That is it. Pay out the bank to get them. Now another team's going to say, you know what? It worked for them. Let me try it. All it takes is for 2 teams to do it, and there's the precedent right there. So it's not going to always be the quarterback. Right now, the quarterbacks that can get the money they want. With Tua and Love getting the money they got, Jerry would be crazy not to pay Dak.
Yeah.
And if you're all in, just go for it, Jerry. Empty the bank, pay these guys, and let's try to get this Super Bowl in the next 2 years. But if you don't go all in and you're trying to free up some money because I'm kind of tight, I don't want to do this, then we don't have a chance.
Yeah.
We don't have a chance. So I'm all for just going all in, Jerry. And then in 2 years, if we don't make it, and Jerry, you went all in, you can go home, retire, let Steven and somebody else take over, and then we can see what happens then.
I dread the day. And Jerry's, I was telling someone, and I don't mean to be mean about it, but he just looked like he really aged, like from one year to the next in that press conference. And that's
I
what
knew I wasn't the only one that saw it.
Hey man, you know, there was a point where I was like, man, you know, maybe Jerry moving on and Steven would be better for the team. Now I'm like, I think it's gonna be worse. So I'm starting to dread that day, that moment where he just kind of relinquishes everything. So because I don't know, I'm scared of the unknown. And the crazy thing is, like, the Cowboys, they've been very successful, you know, the last, let's say 10, 15 years. And they have zero to show for it. And that's, I mean, teams luck their way into championships. I've seen teams luck their way into the Super Bowl. And the Cowboys just said they have no luck on their side. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's just it's crazy.
But that's why I was saying, man, there's that one ingredient that we're not putting in the soup that other teams are doing that came out of nowhere and they're winning. You know, Detroit, look at those guys, man. Green Bay, the 49ers with Purdy. And when you alluded to, when you mentioned
they drafted. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you mentioned it earlier about how they paid out the asshole to get Lance. And that's why they couldn't pay at the butt to get a hell of a
quarterback. Making
nothing. They got lucky with Brock. Yeah. They got lucky with Brock.
Dallas had, and I go back to this, and I've even seen, you know, Tuck still talks about it, but I talked about it, you know, as well, even during those years. You had Dak Prescott making peanuts.
Yes.
Those first 4 years. Nothing. $500,000, million, whatever it was, nothing. They did not look. I mean, Tuck posted it, but I remember the zero free agents, like big names, that they went out and got. So they had opportunities where you look at like a Russell Wilson when he was on that low contract, you know, Seattle drafted well, you know, ended up with like the Legion of Boom. They went out and got Marshawn Lynch from I think it was Buffalo, if my memory is right. They went and got, I think, a receiver. I can't remember receiver. I mean, they went and got some weapons.
Yes.
And they end up winning a Super Bowl in that time. And now you're looking at this, and like Jordan Love, you know, all right, he got to the playoffs. You know, he finally got the start. And he goes to the playoffs, but he sat for those few years. So now they paid him all this money. So now you're going to see where's the money, you know, getting divvied up. And that's why the Niners can do what they're doing today, to have a McCaffrey, to have, you know, Bosa, and then you've got Debo, and maybe they get Ayuk done, maybe they don't. And, you know, they get all these guys, you know, because the quarterback ain't making nothing. But once that quarterback starts making something, and I know Falk talked about, you know, separating the cap, and yeah, maybe that works. But at the end of the day, the owners are going to, you know, they're business guys. And if they're paying, you know, their quarterback a lot of money, they're gonna tighten up in other places, cap or not. I wouldn't think Cowboys would just go freewheeling spending and where the money's at now. I just don't think they would do it. I don't think they'd do it,
but I think Jerry's desperate enough to want to do it. And the 49ers, their bill is coming due.
No, it's gonna
their bill is coming due because Purdy is so glad to be in the NFL and be in the position he's at. He's not holding out begging for a contract. But next year they're gonna have to pay Purdy unless they decide to go elsewhere. And Trent Williams, big defensive person for him, they got to pay Trent. And what are they gonna do with Brandon Ayuk?
Their window is closing as far as that core together. They got to go. You know, they've got to go win it. I mean, they got to be as all in, as Jerry would say. I mean, they got to go win that damn thing if they really. Otherwise, you know, it's a big waste for them of opportunity. You had the best running back in the NFL. You know, a good one of the best defenses easily in the NFL. The best. You had all these guys, all these pieces in. You went and got, you know, they're able to trade for some other guys and bring on these contracts. But they're desperate, right? These teams, they see the sense of urgency. I should say, desperate.
And that's why I said don't get rid of Dak, because that window for the 49ers is closing. The window for Green Bay, it appears to be opening, because they beat us, and then
I mean, you'd think it would.
Yeah, and they played the 49ers real well in that game, that division game, that playoff game. So it appears to be opening. Detroit's window appears to be opening.
Yeah.
49ers window appears to be closing. And the Rams are trying to get back to some semblance of where they were. So keep Dak, because right now we got a good opportunity to go in there and start blowing past these teams that are just trying to get started. But 49ers are going to be so vulnerable this year that it's going to be ridiculous. How many times they've been to Super Bowl in the last 4 years or 5 years? Is it 3?
They've lost 3 since 95. I always have to remind some.
Okay, so
I don't know. It was Garoppolo and they had
Garoppolo, and then they lost to
Alex Smith lost. So
so their window's closing. And as we look, like Jerry says, ambiguous right now, we don't know what's ahead of us this season. But you know how sometimes things happen when we look at saying, wow, last season ended so horrible. Right now, we're in a flux. Don't know if we're going to pay everybody. We don't know if Dak's going to leave. CeeDee's going to come back. We don't know if this is going to happen. Jerry looks all flustered. He looks like he's ready to go out to pasture. Before we think about it, this may be the season that blows our mind. This may be the season the Cowboys come out and kick ass and blows our mind, because everything right now is looking kind of bleak. This may be it with the drafts we got, linebackers, the mentality, Zimmer. This may be the season that we say, you know what? It looked bad last year. It looked real ugly last year. But this year, Zimmer's going to get us in there to blow them out. And Zimmer's doing with Micah in training camp a whole different scheme. He's teaching Micah, because Micah said, I go 100% on every play and go in. He said, I don't care if I'm double team. Zimmer's teaching him to say, hold up, slow your roll, pick your scheme, be patient. I'm going to give you certain plays where we're going to disguise you. We're going to get you the best opportunities available to get you in there and do what you need to do. And everybody won't be so accustomed to you coming 100 miles an hour, so they just put 2 people on you. Now you can go 100 miles an hour, but you're going to be doing it in different schemes. Yeah. So Zimmer's teaching him something, and he's picking it up. And the rest of the defense, Zimmer's going to put his stamp on it. So, Mike, I hate saying this because I hate when our fans say it. This may be our season.
Well, but the thing is people say that, like they make fun of, like, oh, the Cowboys do that, or aren't you like expecting to win every year? Like,
yes.
Like I've never went into a season those badass teams, those 5-11 years and those rough years. I still had, a glimmer of hope that, hey, maybe we'll get in the playoffs and things. I don't know. I'm a fan. And that's why someone had tweeted and said, Mike, you're going to have a hard time with these hype videos with the offseason the Cowboys have had and with Jerry. And the thing I would say, and I was going to tweet it back to him, I just didn't get a chance because I'm painting. But the thing I would say on this team, and I'll give Jerry his due on it, this team has got a lot of Pro Bowlers and a lot of All-Pros. This is a talented team. And what I believe in are the players with the star in their helmet. Jerry's not going out on the field, right? So you can have all the problems with Jerry, but at the end of the day, I believe in the players that are on that field. I think they can get it done. I'm a hype for them. I believe it's going to happen, and I'm going to be confident in every game I go to. And it's like I said, Vegas isn't stupid. They put those big-ass buildings up because people like to bet. Mm-hmm. And Vegas has Dallas as one of the top teams in the NFC. That's Dallas was favored in almost every game in the season right now. There was two games they weren't favored. So I'm just saying is don't be so, hating on the Cowboys and don't think that they're going to be, losing confidence. This team is going to be good. Now, are they good enough to get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
We don't know, but you got to get to the playoffs first. They better get to the playoffs first.
Yeah. And, and talking about it's going to be hard making them hype videos. Mike, you like me. It's never hard doing a hype video for the Cowboys, win or lose. Any of y'all ever seen my videos from last season? You won't see one video where I came after a loss and saying, well, I hope we win this year. Let's go Cowboys. I come in fresh and hard on every one of them, expecting us to win. And if we lose, I'll say, okay, they got us. But guess what? Today we kicking ass. You'll never see me slow down on a hype video for the Cowboys because just like you said, I expect to win every game. And if we don't, it's behind us. You can't do nothing about spilled milk. It's behind you. And I'm not going to cry over it and say, oh, we should have won that game. No, sir. I'm hyping for the next one because the next one's going to get us there. Last 3 or 5 seasons, we've been 12-5. We've been in the playoffs. We've been winning. We got a winning season. Jerry said, no, I'm not satisfied with just having a winning season and getting there. But I still have a little ambiguity about where we at because of so much stuff going on. But that doesn't mean that we're cracking. We still have those 15 Pro Bowlers or all-pro people. We still have a great team. We're still going to win some games this season. It's just when we get to the playoffs, let's see where we go. And we haven't gotten there yet. So as far as we know, we're going to move in deeper.
Yeah, and I would say SoCal is, 11 games. Vegas has it over under 9.5. If you want to get, I'll bet the over with you. We could put money, if you trust Greg or trust Cuts, whatever money you want to put on it, we could put our money. Give them the money, I'll match it, and we could bet that if you want. That's what Vegas has. I'm not gonna bet. I'm a businessman. I've already bet Vegas. I bet Dallas to win the Super Bowl in Vegas because the return on investment's worth it. I bet Miami to win the national championship. My $20 can turn into $1,700. That's not a bad deal, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That's not a bad deal.
It's not a bad deal at all.
So all that everyone loves to bet. I was like, no, it's 9.5. 9.5 is Vegas. If you want to match Vegas, then that's the bet I'm going to do. You're my Vegas. You want to be my bookie, then you can be my bookie. But 9.5 is Vegas today. So if we do 9.5, that's what it is. So anyway, and I'm good for it. I'm good for it too. But I've been around the block with everybody. Just like you had SoCal, and it's nothing against you, but all these guys want to make bets, and then you make the bet. The only time you hear from them is if they happen to win. But when Kelly had it with somebody, they wanted to bet him this, he won it, and that dude disappeared.
Crickets.
So I will give my funds to a middleman. He can hold it for the year, and then you have it at the end. It's 9.5 is the wager. So if you want to do that. You could be my Vegas, man. We'll put a no words. You're probably good with your word. I'm good with mine, but I don't know you. You don't know me.
That's right.
I want a middleman to hold the money. So anyway, right? Cuts, you agree with me, right?
Yep. I don't bet, but I made a bet 2014. A guy that I work with, and he said, I bet you the Raiders have a better season than Cowboys for $100. I said, I'll take that. And when the season was all over, first I hadn't heard from him, but then next thing I know, he shows up with the envelope. He said, here you go, man. And see, that's the honor about doing it. And you put that money, but right now in your situation, you make sure that money's in the middleman's hand. That way, whoever's going to win is going to get that money. Yeah.
If you want to bet stuff, that's fine. You want to bet cash, you want to bet whatever you want to do. I'm down with it. I got no problem with it. I give it to Cuts. He'll let me know. Trust Cuts. He's like my brother, man.
SoCal, United States Marine Corps Combat. I hear you, brother. I salute you.
It's all fun, man. It's all
good.
It is. I love doing it. And like I said, we got our Cowboys Cave tailgate party. So if you guys are going to be at the game, maybe you should be at that game. Baltimore Ravens. We're going to get loud. We're going to get hyped.
We are. It's
going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to be in lot 10. We'll be giving more details kind of as it goes out and all that kind of stuff. And it's like I said, man, it's just to have fun with fans and just a great time. And you guys can bring whatever you want. If you want to donate a little bit, but we'll have food, we'll have stuff. If you guys want to donate, monetarily, we'll have something up where all the funds go to the tailgate because we got to pay for parking. If you guys know Jerry, he loves to charge for parking, so we got to get parking not only for us to be able to bring everything, and we got to be out there at midnight and sit there for hours. We got to get a couple other spots that way we can take over a good enough area to have some stuff. We got street tacos, we got the giveaways. We might have some people stopping by, some friends of the show, maybe some former players, something like that. Maybe pop in and say hey. But
that's going to be one hell of a show, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah. So anyway, so now if you give him $100, I'll give Cuts $100. He'll hold it. The bet is 9.5. If Dallas wins 10 games, I win. If they win less, they win 9 games, you win. That way there's no push. That's why Vegas is smart. It's one or the other. So if you want to do it, I got no problem with it. Just get with Cuts, and I know Cuts, and he'll give it to and he'll let me know when he's got it, and I'll match it, and we'll have some fun. And if I win, then I'll meet up with you somewhere, and we'll spend the winnings on some beers and have a good time. So anyway.
Man, I wish, man, if I wasn't already booked for these games this season that I'm going to, I want to be at training camp so bad. I watched the NFL Network today, and I saw them at training camp, and I'm like, man, I want to be there so bad. I want to be there so bad, man, just to get the insight of what's going on as is occurring. And meet some of the players and just be right around them, man. Because when they come over there to sign autograph stuff, you can ask them questions and talk to them.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Next season, I'm going to make it priority that I'm going to training camp.
And I would say, and maybe, hey, let's work something out. Maybe we can ride out there because that's one of my goals too. But SoCal, I think it's a terrible bet for you. I think Dallas is going to win 10 or 11 games.
I do too.
I think they're going to win 10. I don't think they're going to win 12, but I think they could be a better team even though they win 10, 11. So I wouldn't do the bet if I was you. I'm just saying that. But if you wanted to, that's the bet I would have made with Vegas. I'll make it with you instead of Vegas. So it's I'd rather, if I lose, give it to a brother than not. So if you want to do it, have at it. If you don't, I really don't care. It wouldn't offend me because I think Dallas is going to win 10 or 11. I'm pretty.
We're going to get. I have no doubt we're going to make the playoffs. And it's. You talk to the average Dallas Cowboy fan, it's not a matter of whether we're going to make the playoff. It's almost like a given in our minds. It's what are we going to do when we get there? Because that's the whole thing about Cowboys. Even haters during the season, when they come back at you, when we're winning, they have nothing to talk about except, but wait till you get to the playoffs. That's the only thing they can talk about. And I'm like, no, what about right now when we just beat your team? Talk about that now. Wait till you get to the playoffs. Wait till you get to the playoffs. So it's not and they know it. They know in their mind we're gonna get to the playoffs.
We could go 17-0, and everyone's gonna say wait till the playoffs. And that's right. They put themselves in that position and they have to own it.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, you're judged on wins and losses in the playoffs. The quarterbacks are judged right or wrong. It's like, Gogan said it, we were talking about on the show because I had asked him, I said, as a teammate, would you be kind of like upset because your quarterback, they're kind of putting him on a lame duck year, and he's supposedly your franchise quarterback? So, but he goes, no, it's business. They need to handle it. But he goes, and I like Dak, but let's just be honest, no championships, no Super Bowls. What leverage? Maybe Jerry's like, hey, I need to put some pressure on you. It's like you got it. So I get it. And I don't hate on it, but it's I don't know. It
was the same thing with Romo. I like Romo, and I still like Romo. And I thought Jerry pulled the plug too soon on Romo because I thought maybe in the next 2 years Romo would get a championship. And then when you saw what Dak took us the first 3 years, then you're like, well, maybe it was time to pull the plug. But I still wish he would have gave Romo that opportunity that next season to either compete for the position, because he told Romo, no, you can't even compete for it. Because I think Romo eventually would have got us there. And I'll be playing these things in my head. I'm like, okay, we had Staubach, Super Bowls. Then we had somebody in between, wasn't Jack. Then we had Aikman, Super Bowl. Okay. Then we had people in between, wasn't Jack. And I say, Romo. This was back when Romo was, I was like, okay, Romo's going to get a Super Bowl. But then when Jerry pulled the plug on him too soon, I was like, oh, he pulled the rug on him 2 years too soon. I said, okay, well, maybe Dak's going to be that one. And then the first 3 seasons when Dak was lighting it up, I was like, oh, man, I hope he hadn't wasted it all on these first 3 seasons. But then when I saw the continuity as years go by and then how we were building our teams, I was like, oh, man, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Now we're at that point. He's been there 9 years, and Jerry's getting so desperate that I'm thinking this season right now, he's not going to tell us, but I think this season right now, he's thinking about probably recreating the wheel after it's over. And I hope he doesn't. gives us 2 seasons.
Let me clarify to my man SoCal. Maybe the ear, we gotta clean these ears. 9.5. 10 wins, Mike wins. 10 wins or more, Mike wins. 9 wins, SoCal wins. That's the bet. That's what Vegas is, 9.5. So that's not 10's a push. It's 9.5. 10 wins, Mike wins. You like that? 9 wins, SoCal. Am I clear, Greg? Am I clear?
Think the whole chat room heard that one.
I want to make sure that this is on record, because if he cuts the money, I don't want him bitching when Dallas wins the game and I go collect it and I go out drinking with the money. It's not coming back. That's how I just want to make sure we're clear. 10 wins, I win. 9 wins,
you win.
That's right. All right.
Hey, Falcon, what do you mean by Jerry? I hope I'm pronouncing right. Falcon. What do you mean Jerry did Dak dirty? Ring my ears. Tell me, what do you mean by that?
Well, he said when Dak, and this is what we talked about earlier, when he was under his rookie deal, he did nothing to spend around him. They didn't bring in any key free agents.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. And you know what? Now that we've been speaking about this and free agency keeps coming up, maybe that's that missing ingredient that Jerry's so used to not using in the soup that we're losing. Maybe because go back to the teams that have been in the Super Bowl the last few years, Philadelphia, 49ers, look what Detroit is doing and these other NFC teams. They're getting free agents during the season. They're getting free in the offseason. We're not. We're consistently not. So maybe he needs to add that ingredient in the soup, Jerry, and maybe that'll get us where we need to be, because that's the only right now. That's the only thing I can see that we're not doing. That's the only thing. We're drafting good. We got good players. We're keeping them. We're not getting free agents. Plug and plays.
Yeah.
So if you hear it, Jerry, I know what I'm telling you don't mean a hill of beans, but break your consistent no free agent thing and start getting some free agents, especially during free agency period and then right after the offseason before the draft. Because even if it's 1 or 2, that might be the ingredient, Jerry, to get us where we want to go. Just think about it.
And I mean, and they don't have to go out and do
major contracts.
This team has the stars.
Yes.
It's the blue collar guys. That's what I always like to use that word. It's the guys that, you know, that just want to win. They're you know what I mean? They're either veterans that are hungry for a championship and they got good discipline, they're good work ethic, good locker room, or it's that young guy that's just looking for that opportunity to break through. I mean, you don't have to go out and get the top. You're not getting Chris Jones. I mean, you don't need that. Right. You got Parsons. Right. I mean, you have the talent. You need some fillers. You need those, like we talked about in the 90s. You need those Gogans. You need the Robert Joneses. You need those kind of, the James Washingtons. You need those kind of guys. That's what this team, you know, that's what this team needs, man.
Complementary players. We need complementary players. We need those complementary players, like plug and play those complementary players, and that'll get us where we want to be. So if we can do that, I still don't know. They talk about the cap. I still don't know how bad of a financial situation Jerry's in when it comes to paying these guys. Because even when I was listening to Daniel Jeremiah and them today, it sounds like we have the money to pay Dak, CeeDee, and Micah, and that'll take us about 50% of whatever they were talking about.
Yeah.
And 70% would be burning the house down. Well, if we're 20% in the good, just go ahead and pay them.
You could structure the deal. Like Micah Parsons doesn't have to be done. Really doesn't have to be done next year, but they'll do it next year, right?
They'll do it next year for sure.
So if you did CeeDee and Dak, you can kind of, I mean, Dak's cap hit right now is 50, right? Into 50-something million, the cap hit. And I think
I think it's 54, 57.
And CeeDee's is like 18 or 7 because he's on that whatever that option or whatever he's on. So on his rookie deal. Mm-hmm. So you could eat that money. So just leave it now because it's on the cap, and then spread the other money around. You can they always have those votable years. You kind of do
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff to, it's just like a credit card. They could get it done if they want to. They just have to finagle the years in that way, and they do the restructure. And they've done how many times they do a contract, and the next year they're doing a restructuring.
Right.
So
Right.
it's they can do it if they want. It's like I don't know. I don't know. Like, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but now I'm talking more. I'm getting aggravated. See what happens.
Do you think Jerry's gonna let Dak go? Because I'm nervous.
I don't know if he'd let him. I think if he's not signed by the first game or by the start of the season,
right?
Typically, Dak and his agent, they're not going to want to negotiate. The Cowboys probably aren't going to want to negotiate, and I think he's gone at the end of the year.
And then I'm sad.
Yeah, and I think the only way, I think they are going to hedge their bets on Trey Lance. If Trey Lance looks good, I think that they're going to hedge their bets and say, you know what, we're going to give Dak, and I think they'll give Dak let's say, argue that Cowboys go to the Super Bowl. They go to the Super Bowl, Dak wins, he's a free agent. I think I think Jerry's going to offer him. They're going to offer him a contract, but they're going to have other teams that are going to offer more, and he'll end up going with another team. Then the Cowboys can say, hey, we tried, we wanted him to prove it. He did. We offer him a contract. And then and on the flip side, they look great, because if they shit the bed in the playoffs, they're like, you know what? We've seen enough. This is as far as we're going to go. We gotta try something different. We're gonna go with Trey Lance for a year, try and draft a quarterback, whatever they end up doing. It's just the thing is with Dak, you're always gonna be good, right? They've got enough talent. They're always gonna be good.
Right.
So if you're always picking in the 20s, it's hard to get a quarterback, right? It's hard to, unless you get a Purdy or you get a Brady.
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen a lot. Usually your early first round draft pick quarterbacks are your they're usually the cream of the crop, right? I mean, look at all the guys that are getting paid. Love was a first round pick. Lawrence a first round pick. Yeah. Who else got Tua a first round pick? Yeah. Usually it's that upper tier.
But sometimes, and the ones that do get a good quarterback in the 4th round or 6th round, they just happen to have the lottery ticket and didn't know it, and they got it. Like Brock and Dak. Dak turned out to be a great pick, which Jerry didn't even know. Jerry didn't realize Dak was going to be as good as he was, and San Francisco damn sure didn't think Brock was even going to make the roster. But they didn't know what they were picking. They just took a quarterback back then, and they just got lucky. They had the winning numbers of the lottery ticket. But the majority of times, no, quarterbacks are going high, the great ones, and the better ones are going high.
Yeah.
And you're picking them. But
I was to make a trade. They can make and Falk or SoCal. SoCal, I get all these guys. So I don't believe the Cowboys will win 11. F Vegas, I'll take a push. But if you said if you stand by Vegas, it's 9.5. If you want to do that bet, and you don't have to, I really could care less.
You're still on the bet.
You're the one who started it. I don't really care. I was going to make that bet anyway. So whether I make it with you or make it with Vegas, I really don't care. I don't want you to lose money. And if you're a Cowboys fan, I don't know why you would bet for them to be under unless you hate the Cowboys. But if you if you already sent the money, then I will match it, and you root against the Cowboys and I'll root for them. And I don't know.
hey, Falcon, speaking of, you were mentioning about how Jerry didn't pick up the 5th year. I bet you Jerry's regretting it right now. I bet he's regretting that he didn't pick up that 5th year earlier before Love and Tua's contract came out, because Jerry probably could have paid Dak well, but he could have paid him less than what they got. And now that those two have set the precedence, Jerry's got no choice now. So in that sense, Jerry screwed himself.
For which one? What were you talking about?
Falcon was talking about how Jerry didn't pick up the 5th year on Dak.
Well, he didn't have a 5th year because he was a 4th round pick.
So he never had a 5th year.
They franchised him 2 years in a row. They could have signed him.
Yeah, they could have signed him, and
that would have been cheaper. Yes.
Yeah, it would have been cheaper before the Love and the Tua contract came out, but he didn't do it. And what's his name? I just saw it. Rick. You are talking about CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I hope it does happen. I think it's going to happen.
Well, they're not picking the 5th year. They already said they're not. So he's going to be.
But I'm talking about CeeDee Lamb. Rick Ercolani said Stevens sent the contract to CeeDee on Friday.
On Friday, yeah, they sent a contract Friday, but
yeah, I think CeeDee and his agent eventually that negotiation is going to work out before preseason is over because CeeDee wants to be a Dallas Cowboy. He really does. He just wants to see if he can stretch it out and get as much as he can. But I think he's going to make a decision, and he's going to stay with us. So that I think
he'll be signed.
That'll be signed. That's one of them in the camp. That's one.
I'm not even worried about CeeDee. Dak's the one, and I'm not worried about Dak because Dak's there. So if he doesn't have a problem playing on it, why the hell should we?
And Dak signed through this season. So I hope nobody out there thinks, if he doesn't sign Dak, he won't be. No, Dak is with us this season. Period. Yeah. He's with us this season. Period. If the extension is going to be done before the season's over to keep Dak, and I hope the extension is done by the end of preseason, because I'd hate to see them go through the negotiations during the season, because that would tell me that Jerry is probably thinking not re-signing him, and I don't want that.
They're not. They typically don't do that during.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
Well, but yeah.
But Michael, I am excited to see Trey Lance play in preseason. I'm really excited, not because I want to see him replace Dak. I just want to see if Trey Lance is worth the investment that he initially was when he was picked in the top. That now he is after a few years of sitting back behind people, getting a little experience watching and being with the Cowboys, because that'll just give us that much more on the depth chart. So, I'm excited to see him play in preseason.
Yeah.
And I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, I can't stay on here, SoCal, all night. You don't have to pay him right this minute. He'll let me know when you pay. You could let it marinate for a night.
Y'all need to open up a comedy hour right now.
My man Cuts will say, as soon as he says, hey, man, SoCal paid, it's got to be before game 1. That's the only thing. If you want to wait till the preseason, go before game 1, then however way you want to do it, man, it's up to you. But if you want to pay now, you can, or later. I don't really care. But yeah, I got shit to do, and so does Greg. I mean, we went on here an hour and a half hanging with you guys, man. So, but anyway, yeah. So I think Trey Lance, I want him to do good because I think competition makes you better.
Yeah.
Like I think the Cowboys having a legit guy there, another quarterback, because I mean, let's be fair, Cooper Rush wasn't scaring, he's not going to intimidate Dak Prescott or anything, but you're bringing a guy in who was a 3rd overall pick, who's got some ability. Obviously he's got ability. He, injuries has really been his Achilles heel early on in his career. Dak's got to feel I think competition makes you better. So I think this could make Dak even better, and it could be friendly competition. I don't think these two are going to hate each other. But remember, and I said this Thursday. Please don't think I'm comparing them, so I don't want to get yelled at. I mean, think about like the Montana Steve Young, Favre, and Rodgers. Remember when Favre, like Rodgers was on his, Favre just had his best years. He was like playing. He didn't want to go he wasn't giving up nothing, even give him a chance. I mean, those are the kind of, I think in the quarterback, there's really, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No. And speaking of Favre and Rodgers, I first thought that the Green Bay prematurely let Rodgers go. Favre go too soon. And because Rodgers stunk the place up for a couple of years, but eventually he became the championship quarterback they wanted. And then you go to Montana and Young. And to this day, I still call Young a crybaby, because that's all he did on the sideline. He had a #1 quarterback back there that had been winning 4 Super Bowls, and he's crying all the time because he can't get the play. Man, Montana was lighting the place up, and what you crying for? You ought to be glad you were still on team. He cried his way into getting that job, and then when Montana came back from being hurt, played against Detroit, beat them. Everybody said Montana's back. And then Young, you run him back, you need to let him go. No, the man was a championship quarterback. You leave him alone. But you cried your way into being the #1 quarterback, and that forced Montana out. And I know Montana still is kind of pissed off with how you did it and management did it. And then you were garbage until you finally won a Super Bowl, talking about the monkeys off my back. Hell, you
He
wrote
was
the
too much. Steve Young was a lot like Dak Prescott. He couldn't win in the playoffs.
He couldn't win nothing. And then Montana did it with ease, and he was crying because he couldn't be the number one quarterback when Montana came back. But I say all that to say this. Trey Lance could wind up to be that Rodgers. He could wind up to be that Steve Young. He'll take a couple of years where it's mediocre and then come out and then invest in him, and he might be the one. We can't see in the crystal ball. Right now, I want to get everything out of Dak with the talent we got around him right now as we can for 2 years. For 2 years. I'm patient enough for 2 years. If we keep the majority of that nucleus together, and I see the other teams where they're starting to crack. They're starting to crack in the NFC. The ones that are in the playoffs that we have a problem with, they're starting to crack. Now maybe that opportunity for us is to come through. So give it 2 years, but get some free agents when we need them. Plug and play, lunch bucket guys, like you said. Let's get them so we can move during the season and say, go get that guy right now. He's a lunch bucket guy. 5 games later, go get that guy right there. We need him. And that'll help us. And then if that soup mix doesn't work, well, then, Jerry, you can blow it up if you want to.
Yeah, no doubt. And Chris, thanks. You appreciate the support. SoCal's got me confused. Thank you for your service, first of all. Absolutely. Yeah. How are you a diehard Cowboy fan and you want them to have a shitty year? I just don't understand that. It blows my mind. I don't know. Because if I'm betting, like if I bet, that's why I typically I'll never ever. I'm like I'm like the professional. I'm never betting against my team.
Yeah,
because subconsciously I'm going to be hoping they lose. I mean, I got money on the line. I got money. I don't care if it's $10, $20, $100, $1,000, 10,000. It's the same thing in fantasy football. I do not like drafting, and I stay away from the Eagles. I stay, especially their quarterbacks. Receivers, I don't care so much, but I will never have a Jalen Hurts on my fantasy because subconsciously I want him to do well because I'm trying to win. There's pride at stake and this and that. So I've never understood how people are fans, like diehard fans of their team, but bet for them to fail.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I would rather just not do anything because subconsciously I'm always going to think that. But that's me. And it's not about being proven wrong because you said that they're going to win 10 or 11 games. Now you're saying they're going to win 9. Yeah. Which, unless the way that they're going to win 9 or less is if Dak Prescott gets hurt. But this team's not going to win less than 10 games with the roster they have. There's just no way. But you'll be wrong. 10 games, you're wrong because you're losing. You're losing with 10 games. 10 games is my money. You just donated to the tag fund, which I do appreciate.
SoCal might be thinking too that he's not necessarily betting against Dallas. He's just putting that money on the table that if Dallas doesn't win more than 9 games, well, he got a little something out there to wipe away the tears, No,
maybe I like subconsciously you should be, I think he's gonna be happy if Dallas fails.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he'll be happy if they fail.
Not happy, but he's gonna be happy to win some money. I mean, I would.
Yeah, but you know how you'll think, well, they didn't have a good season, but I got a consolation prize out of it. And I think, he'll still be upset that they lost. But me, I don't care how much money you're putting on it. I've never, ever, and I never will bet against Dallas. I don't care if they have a bad season. I don't get mad enough to ever bet against them because I can't see myself consciously saying, well, if they lose, I just can't see that. I can't.
No. Like I said, even fantasy football, I won't take Hurts or I won't take Giants quarterback. I'm not going to take a Washington because I do not want my mind at thinking that they're, hope they do well. You know what I mean? I don't know. But teaches their own. Teaches their own. And if he said, I'm waiting on my text from Cut saying I got the money. I haven't gotten anything yet. Whatever he pays them, we'll be in. We'll make fun. We'll have a fun. We're going to have a countdown. We'll make a countdown on the show. And we'll see who's proven right, who's proven wrong. He says they're going to stink. I said they're going to be in the playoffs. So we'll have a lot of fun with it. We'll have a lot of fun.
So. But Mike, you Yeah, you are right. If team gets bounced again in the first round, it'll be so frustrating. It'll be frustrating and bewildering because then we'll be like, well, what? There'll be no words, no
It's
words
frustrating.
whatsoever.
I mean, like, to me, it's frustrating. Like, I'll say this again. Like with San Francisco, it hurt, but it wasn't frustrating.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't frustrating. The Green Bay killed me because we lost to them. We play them 9 times, we beat them, or 10 times we beat them 9. You know what I mean? It's so if let's say they go 10-7, they're a wild card team. They got to go to San Francisco. San Francisco's a number 2 seed or whatever it is, or whoever they lose a tough fall game. It's not gonna kill me.
Right.
I mean, I'm disappointed, but it's not like, oh, the shitty ass Cowboys can't win a playoff game.
Right.
Because I said it, look at the games. They talk about Dak Prescott, right? He beat Seattle. That was a home game, should have won. Lost to Green Bay, which they lost the first Green Bay, which really that was a down to the wire, lost to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
His rookie year. I think if they would have knocked the defense, didn't give up the 3rd 19, I think we had all the momentum to beat them in overtime.
That did it, the 3rd 19.
So then the next year they beat Seattle, right? Then they had to go to the Rams. Rams were the better team.
Yep.
We run all over.
Yep.
It wasn't an embarrassing game. It was a good game, but I wasn't like, the shitty ass Cowboys choke artist.
Nope.
I don't think that's a choke.
And that was in the Coliseum.
The 2 games that are the killers, the Green Bay we talked about, we won't rehash that one. The San Francisco game at home against Garoppolo, that Garoppolo played like shit.
Yep.
And Dallas and Dak played like shit. Defenses both played well, so it was a good, kind of that thing. But we should have beaten them. They were handing the game, and we handed it right back.
Yep.
Those are the 2 games. So he's been in 7 playoff games, right? Is he 2 or 6 or 7? What has he been in?
Let me see. Green Bay.
He beat the Bucks and the Lions. Lost to Green Bay twice. 2 and 4.
I think 6
games.
Yeah.
So 2 of the 6 games, I would say the better team didn't win.
Right. Yeah, because Green Bay was the most disappointing of all of them.
All of them. That's disappointing in Cowboys history.
Yeah, but look at every playoff game and look how close we were. Look how many, even the 3rd and 19, which had me crying like a little bitch. That 3rd and 19 sliding and catching that ball Rodgers threw. We still scored 30-some points. We were still up there. And Dak, listen now, Dak on the offense in all these playoff games, except for and even Green Bay, the one in the Coliseum, we lost to the Rams. That I can't even speak on that one. I can't speak on that one. But all the rest of them, Dak kept us in the game. Dak kept us offense, and I give it to the whole offense. Offense kept us in the game. We end up losing by an offensive play on the other team that was just enough to win the game. But Dak kept us in the game. Our defense gave up 3rd and 19. Our defense blew the Green Bay game. So people trying to put it on Dak because he's the lowest hanging fruit. But go back and look at all those playoff games.
I pulled it up. Dallas in the second quarter was down 20-7, and at 27-7 at half. They got a field goal the first drive to make it 27-10. Green Bay got a touchdown, 34-10. Dallas gets a touchdown, 34-16. Green Bay gets another touchdown, 41-16. Green Bay gets another touchdown, 48-16. Dallas gets a touchdown, 48-24. They get a garbage touchdown, if you want to call it whatever, 48-32. So the defense gave up 21 points in the second half, and then obviously they gave up 21 in the first half because of those was pick six. I mean, the defense gave up 42 points
at home
that they hadn't lost to in 2 years.
Right. At home, first round game we were supposed to win, defense blew it. And the worst part about how the defense blew it injured running back for Green Bay Packers ran over their ass, and the wide receivers were already sitting at the goal line eating Lunchables, waiting for the ball. No safety, no corners, and they were just sitting there catching touchdowns like this was practice.
Yeah.
And I'll never put that game on Dak. I never put that Green Bay game on Dak.
He gets a share. He gets a good share of it, though.
He gets a share. The whole team gets share. But Dak eventually scored, 31, 32 points?
Yeah. 32
points after being down 27-7. And the defense kept giving up touchdowns. I can't remember, but maybe 2 times, it might be more than that Green Bay punted the ball.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't think they punted.
It was crazy.
The killer, though, was Dallas, and again, it is what it is, but Dallas was going to score, and it was 20-0. Dallas was going in to score before half. It would have been 20-7. And he throws that pick 6 to go 27-0. So the thing is, Dallas came back and scored. So it kind of nullified the touchdown, if you want to argue that, because we're still down 20, whether they're down 20 to, you know what I mean, or whatever. It kind of nullified it. It didn't help them, but they were back where they started. Instead of being 20-7, it was 27-7. So I guess you could say it's a loss. But I think psychologically that deflated everything. That's where I'd say where Dak has to own, because it was a bad interception. If you remember,
it was a bad one. It was a bad one. It was like a Larry Brown interception.
Yeah, it was just like, dude, no one there. So that's where I would just say is he's got to get his and then like I even said, we talked about, I don't know why we keep talking about this game. I want to forget about it, but like CeeDee Lamb, when he got hit in the back of the head, we talked about it with Kason, right? And no one did nothing.
They didn't. Nobody did anything. They didn't come to the gate.
No one. So it's just they got to be tough. Like the men. That's why, like in free agency, I didn't care if they got. I wanted them to get some just badass dudes, like Ndamukong Suh, not him, but like a guy like that.
Right.
Someone who's got some attitude.
Right.
Someone who's got some dogs. Someone, I don't know if that's the thing. I don't know if they have that on this team
right now. We don't.
Right now,
unless that linebacker we got from the Chargers, unless he turns out to be that way.
Yeah.
Unless he turns out to be that way, or somebody reluctantly becomes a reluctant leader that we don't see. But you're right. We don't have that general over there. And they can't say Michael Parsons general, because Michael Parsons is focused on getting that quarterback. He's not that person that psychologically
he doesn't come across as like an in-the-face guy. Now Zimmer's going to be that guy.
Oh, he sure is.
And he's going to be on the sideline, so he's going to be the guy to get in someone's ass if they're not playing well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I wish Dak was that way.
Yeah, Zimmer's gonna be like that when we were growing up. Zimmer's gonna be like your parents when they had that switch behind their back and talking about, no, just come here. Just come here. They're gonna be scared to death of Zimmer to come on that sideline, especially if Zimmer stays on the sideline during the game. Woo, I'd hate to be a defensive player and come back to the sideline with Zimmer over there. And you said it a few shows ago about you hope Zimmer doesn't sit up in the box.
Well, he's not sitting up there.
I could see the advantage of maybe the assistant defensive coordinator sitting up in the box so you can see the whole field. But we really need Zimmer on the sideline, because I want those players to be ready to feel the wrath of Zimmer when they come off that field. And it'll be different this year, because Lawrence and all those guys coming off that field and they're not doing what they got to do. They got to answer to Zimmer. Yeah. They got to answer. So it's going to take some kind of toll on them. Because how many times do you want to hear somebody getting in your ear, getting in your ass? And you're going to do whatever it takes to stop that. So they didn't have it last year.
And I tell you, I'm 100% right there. Most unprepared defensive game. It was a joke. It was a joke.
Maybe it was prepared, but it wasn't executed.
No.
It wasn't executed.
No. So
at all.
Yeah.
But don't throw the towel in on Dak. Folks, please don't. I know he's the lowest hanging fruit. He's the quarterback. Everybody wants to do it. Don't throw the towel on him. Do a little research and look at what Dak has been doing on offense, and start focusing on defense. Because if our defense is 49ers defense, when it starts to handling people, we're going to be great. So start focusing on defense and seeing what defense isn't doing instead of always saying what Dak doing. Because you don't hear the Dak haters don't say the offense didn't do this. They always say Dak as though he's the only one on that field. Folks, start focusing on defense and see who's not doing their job on defense. Then you can see where it balances out.
Well, yeah, there'll be some accountability on D. We're going to have that thing covered. Yeah. And we'll have a good. So SoCal, if he sent the money, I'll get with Cuts and I will send it to him. Cuts, I don't know if I have yours. I'm pretty sure I do. If not, I'll text you as soon as we get done. So, hey, we've been 2 hours. 2 hours.
Right? Seems like 5 minutes.
10 o'clock here for me.
When you're having fun.
But it is fun. I love doing it. I was thinking maybe Sunday, we're originally I was thinking Sunday, but I'm going out in a little water, going to enjoy myself. And I'm going to already spend SoCal's money because I'm that confident that we're going to win 10 or more games. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and buy some drinks tomorrow. I'm going to spend the money ahead of time. You know what I mean? I'm going to spend it ahead of time. So, but anyway, it'll be good, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oh yeah. Well, Falk, we got a college football league going on. I wish we'd go ahead and get this week going. I'm supposed to be playing the game. I'm not the Canes. I'm Clemson. So I got a game against Georgia. So we'll have some fun with it. But hey, we'll be back on Monday. Jimmy D will be back in the house. We had some issues with that, some work stuff coming up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a great time. So you guys, 210 of you hanging out in here on different platforms. Most important thing that really helped the show is to go to YouTube and hit that subscribe, hit the like while you're there, hit the share, hit the alert bell, because this wasn't a prepared show. This was all last minute. If you have that alert bell hit, you kind of get a notification when we go live so you can be part of the show. But we definitely appreciate it. We got some things coming up next week. We got some training camps, so it's going to be a good time. And preseason will be here. Last year we did like a live show during preseason. We kind of talked through everything. Maybe we'll do the same. That was a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do that again. So I appreciate everything. You guys have a good one. Greg, thank you, man. It's always fun hanging out with you, man. It's always fun. Make sure, I always forget, they should know where you're at, but where can everyone, if they're not following you on social media, where can they find you?
On Facebook, you can follow me on Gregory Girard, Gerard. And if you're a Cowboys fan, send me a DM and tell me that you saw me on the show. That way I'll know you're legit, and then I'll friend you back. And then on TikTok, it's Gregory Girard 146. That's why I put all my hype videos, and they're coming this season too. So I can't wait for it to start. Love you all for coming in the cave. All you dedicated Cowboys fans. We're going to get it this year. We're going to stick together because it's Cowboys for life, baby.
That's right, man. We're going to do good. We love it. You guys take care. Enjoy your Sunday. Hopefully the weather is good. Weather better be good for me because I'm getting ready to go out in the water. But you guys take care. Have a good one. See ya.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.